all for being here. I'm John Anik. It is my pleasure to host today's special press conference as we count down to the first all-heavyweight main card in UFC history. On Saturday night, we have perhaps top to bottom our most exciting fight card of the year. 12 fights in total. The action gets going on Facebook at 7 p.m. Eastern and 4 p.m. Pacific. Over a ton of UFC fighter will take to the octagon here at the MGM Grand on Saturday night. We will bring out the big guys shortly, but first, a handful of tickets are still available from Ticketmaster and also here at the MGM Grand box office. We do expect those to be gone this afternoon, and the Grand Garden Arena will be sold out at capacity this weekend. Also, remember the prelims on FX begin at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, and then the big guns go off for the UFC 146 main card on pay-per-view at 10 p.m. Eastern and 7 p.m. Pacific. Today we will hear from all 10 of the heavyweights on the main card. Media and fans here will get the chance to pose questions to our main eventers. You can also tweet us using the hashtag UFCPresser. In the opening fight of the night, we have the tallest UFC fighter in history taking on an explosive new addition to the heavyweight roster. Introducing first a man who has taken the division by storm here in 2012 with 2 huge knockout of the nights in the last 4 months. He has a 17-5 record in mixed martial arts and has finished all 17 of his pro victories. Puncher from Madera, California. Please welcome LeVar Johnson. His opponent, incredibly, can be called a UFC veteran at just 24 years of age. Fighting out of the Netherlands, he has an MMA record of 23-5. 10 of those appearances have come inside the octagon. At 6 feet 11 and 1/2 inches tall, he has used his length en route to a pair of Submission of the Night awards. Please welcome the skyscraper, Stephen Struve. Alright, in the second fight on the main card, we have a battle of unbeatens and emerging UFC talents. First, fighting out of Irvine, California, he has an unblemished record of 11-0 and has done it with style points, finishing all 11 of his opponents. He is thrilled to be making his UFC debut. Please welcome to the UFC, Shane Del Rosario. His opponent, fighting out of Cleveland, Ohio, is one of the most accomplished athletes to enter the UFC. He was a NCAA Division I wrestler, a Golden Gloves boxing champion, and also was part of a collegiate baseball championship team. But his real talent lies in MMA, where he is 8-0 with 7 stoppages. He is the owner of the 5th fastest knockout in UFC heavyweight history. Here is Stipe Miocic. Well, we begin with LeVar Johnson. First of all, I think the fans would like me to thank you for stepping up and taking this fight on 9 days' notice. Can you walk us through the call you received to replace Mark Hunt and ultimately what your thought process was in accepting this opportunity?
Yeah, I got the call saying that Mark Hunt might not be able to fight due to an injury, and they offered me to fight. You know, and as fighters, that's what we do. If we don't fight, we don't get paid. So right away, I stepped up and took it.
All right, so in addition to the monetary reward, the reward here for you is to go 3-0 in the UFC in a 4-month span. I guess the risk would be losing the momentum that you established in that huge win over Pat Barry in the UFC on Fox, but I guess in your estimation, the reward would far outweigh the risk for you.
Yeah. I'm not worried about losing. I'm still in shape, training really hard, and I'm well prepared for this. You know, I think I match up well with Stephen, and I think it's going to be a great fight.
Well, when Zuffa announced that the Strikeforce heavyweights would be migrating over to the UFC, certainly Alistair Overeem was a guy who garnered most of the headlines. You came in sort of unheralded. All you've done in the UFC has been a world beater. What do you think has been the biggest improvement in your game, and what has been the key to your success here in the UFC?
My biggest improvement in my game has been my speed. I've worked a lot on my speed and accuracy instead of trying to hit people hard. I'm trying to move a lot faster and footwork.
We get to your opponent now, Stephen Struve, so that means there was also a change of opponent for you on just a week's notice. How did you get the news that Mark Hunt was out?
I was with my girl. I was checking out a station to go after the fight just to relax and recharge for the next training camp. And my manager texted me that Mark Hunt was out of the fight. He was injured, and I had to call him immediately. So I was worried I wasn't fighting. I called him up, and I got the news of the first that thing. So I want to thank him for that.
So, do you change a single thing as far as your final preparations are concerned when you have just a week or more to try to figure out maybe the differences between Hunt and your new opponent, Roy Johnson?
Listen, the training camp was pretty much done, you know, and I had 9 weeks of really hard training, so I'm prepared for anybody and anything. So, you know, I changed a little bit in my mind, maybe, you know, because he's a little taller than Mark, but for the rest, they're two really heavy-handed strikers, you know, so it doesn't change much for me.
All right, so you're 24 years old. You've become maybe the youngest veteran, I guess, we have in the UFC. 10 fights, 7 wins, 2 Submission of the Night awards, another for a knockout of the night. Certainly not too shabby. What has it been like, though, to essentially cut your teeth here in the UFC at a very young age?
It's been an amazing journey. I entered the UFC. I signed my first contract when I was 20 years old. I fought Junior Dos Santos when I was 21 for 3 days, you know, so nobody really knew how good he was back then, you know, but I fought the champ, so it's amazing to see him right now, and amazing to think back that I fought him, but, you know, I'm 24, and when I'm going to retire, I'm going to have, like, hopefully 50, 60 fights in the UFC, and that sounds pretty amazing to me.
I would imagine that would be a record. All right, best of luck on Saturday night. Now we move along to Shane Del Rosario and Stipe Miocic. First of all, congratulations, Shane. I know it's been a long time coming. Good to see you here in the UFC. All right, so you sit here on the brink of your UFC debut. You've been out of action since February of 2011, a win over Lamar Johnson. Actually, a year ago, a driver slammed into your vehicle from behind, despite initial concerns that you would never fight again. Here you are. How have you handled the aftermath of the accident and your subsequent recovery?
You know, I really went through sometimes, you know, during the injury, but it's all come full circle. I put it all behind me. I had a really good training camp. I'd say one of my best. And I'm really focused, and I'm just really hungry to get back in there, and I'm honored to be here.
So a lot of people in the past have questioned, you know, the depth of the heavyweight division. This card certainly makes a rather large statement about the depth of our heavyweight division right now. But the division, Shane, I think you'd agree, is also wide open. How important an opportunity is this for you in your debut on this stage to not just get the win, but to make a statement here to the UFC fans?
Yeah, you know, since day one of training, the goal was to get to the UFC. This is the top organization, and you know, I've taken my time and paid my dues, and I'm finally here. And you know, I just didn't want to get to this UFC. I want to stay here. I want to fight. I want to win, and I'm looking to make a name for myself on Saturday night.
All right, we look forward to seeing you where you absolutely belong. All right, now we turn our attention to Stipe Miocic, and I guess if any heavyweight on this card is overdue his time in the spotlight, it's probably you. Now, we set up your accolades in wrestling and boxing. How much did that experience give you a head start when you decided to make the transition here to mixed martial arts?
Actually, I did MMA before I started boxing. I did a few amateur fights, and me and my coach decided to take about a year and a half off, and just did going both boxing and all that, and worked out well. So far, it's been good.
I guess it did work out well. Now, we also mentioned you were an accomplished baseball player, even drawing some interest from some Major League Baseball teams. At any point, did you think that would be your chosen path, and why did you ultimately choose mixed martial arts?
You know, everyone, I was trying to be a baseball player, you know, it didn't work out. I'm happy the way it happened. You know, I just kind of fell into it, kind of got out, and just never left the gym.
All right, well, you've lived in the United States for some time now, went to college here, but you remain a proud Croatian. We all know Mirko Krokop, undoubtedly the most famous Croat fighter of all time. With his impending retirement, is there any pressure or maybe motivation to sort of take the torch and represent for the Croatian faithful?
He's a legend, man. You know, I'm grateful to be here, and I'm staying here for a while. So.
All right, LeVar Johnson, Shane Del Rosario, Stipe Miocic, Stefan Struve. Appreciate a few minutes, fellas. Best of luck on Saturday night.
Thank you.
Well, as we mentioned off the top, UFC 146 is the first ever all-heavyweight card, breaking the previous record of 4 fights on the main card set back in 2000 at UFC 28. All right, now we move up the main card to a pair of dynamic fighters and personalities. Fighting out of the famed Team Quest camp, he has finished 90% of his opponents in his 21-3 MMA career. He's one of the most aggressive fighters in the division and on the roster. And his last time out against Stefan Struve, he entered the octagon as the hairiest fighter in UFC history. Making his third UFC appearance on Saturday night, please welcome Dave Herman. His opponent representing Las Vegas, Nevada, he was the Season 10 winner of The Ultimate Fighter. The man possesses a huge right cross that has resulted in a handful of one-punch knockouts, and he is never afraid to tell it like it is. Welcome the proud Las Vegas Big Country, Roy Nelson. Alright, well today we've already talked about the tallest fighter in the UFC. Now we have the man who up until this last fight camp at least would have been perhaps the heaviest. He has used his size and power to hammer fist his way to 14 finishes in his 16 career wins against only 3 defeats. Finally set to make his UFC debut, he is Antonio Bigfoot Silva. And Bigfoot will be assisted with any interpretation by manager Alex Davis. All right, hitting the stage next is the man many believe is the single most talented heavyweight on the planet. Few in the UFC can match his strike output, and only middleweight champion Anderson Silva can claim to be more accurate with his punches and kicks. He is 9-1 in the UFC and a proud Mexican American. Injury and on a mission to get his gold back. Please welcome the former UFC heavyweight champion of the world, Cain Velasquez. All right, let's start with Dave Herman and Roy Nelson. Dave, wholesale changes to this UFC 146 main card since it was originally announced. Now, given your experience coming up on the local circuit, maybe you're the guy best equipped to handle a late change in opponent. I'm told at one point in your career you were driving to the venue and you got a call that your opponent had been changed for that night. Did I get good information? Is that the truth?
Yeah, I've had opponents change when I got there. Actually showed up and one got back out and somebody else jumped in.
Well, you said that you never used to train properly in the past. Maybe your striking fundamentals left a little bit to be desired, despite the fact that you finished a whole lot of guys in a whole lot of different ways. Dan Henderson of Team Quest has said recently, you're training as hard as anyone in the gym. Have your own expectations now changed for what you can do here in your MMA career?
Not really. I still have the same expectations.
What do you think has been the biggest evolution in your game then?
Well, I mean, my last fight, I lost, but it was the first fight where I actually got my hands up and looked like I knew I was doing striking. So, I've been really working on that and trying to do.
All right, we go to big country now. You enter the Ultimate Fighter as certainly a hardcore fan favorite, blasted your way through the field on the show. How would you assess your MMA career and your UFC career, though, since you became the Ultimate Fighter?
Entertaining.
Overall, have you exceeded your own expectations, or record-wise, maybe not where you thought you would be?
Record-wise, it's one of those. I think I'm gonna go to Open Gracie School. You know, if we have the time limits, I definitely win all of them.
I know you put some sort of emphasis on entertaining. You've gotten some bonus money. What kind of obligation is it to a fighter to not just win, but in a spectator sport like mixed martial arts, put on a show for the fans?
I think in our sport, it's definitely entertainment. There's a little, you know, the athlete part, you know, adds a little bit to it, but if we weren't selling ratings, we wouldn't be on TV, and that's the entertainment part.
All right, some have suggested, Roy, that of all 10 heavyweights on this main card, you may be the single one who needs the win the most. Is that fair?
It all depends on who you're asking.
I'm asking you.
Me, as long as the fans are happy, it doesn't really matter.
All right, big country Roy Nelson. Best of luck on Saturday night. Now we get to Antonio Bigfoot Silva and Cain Velasquez. Bigfoot, so changes to the main event here. You stand to be the biggest beneficiary. You move up into the co-main event against a former UFC champion. What does this opportunity mean to you?
It's a big opportunity to my personal life, to my professional life. You know, I'm very excited to this fight. My debut in UFC, and I'm training a lot. My opponent is a very tough guy. He's a number 2 in the world. He's a life champion, and I train a lot, and I'm ready for this fight. I'm ready to win this fight.
Now, you've been a highly ranked and regarded heavyweight for some time, a lot of quality wins, most notably the win over Fedor Emelianenko. Why do you think it took so long for you to get to the UFC?
Você tem lutado bastante com os melhores do mundo nessa divisão, você são muitos melhores. Por que você acha que levou tanto tempo para você chegar ao UFC?
I don't know. I want to fight the best guys always. You know, I'm born to fight, and now I'm here in UFC. My first fight, and I won a long life here in the UFC.
And I guess all that matters is that you have gotten here. Now, one of your natural advantages is certainly your size, but you said on our UFC 146 countdown show, you were coming into this fight around 20 pounds lighter than normal. What led to that decision and that change?
Yeah, I'm working with Mike Doge for this fight. I dropped 20 pounds 5 weeks ago. I stayed with 2-7 every day, and to move more faster, you know, because my opponents are very fast. He move a lot. He have a good hands, fast hands, speed is good, and now I'm more comfortable. My weight's good, my shape is better. I'm more faster, and I will try win this fight.
All right, well, it's been a long time coming. We were excited to have you here in the UFC. All right, now we get to the former champion of the world, Cain Velasquez. Now, no one likes losing, especially a champion like yourself. Your first loss just so happened to come as you headlined the UFC's national network television debut. I know this isn't news to you, but the crowd was there in droves for you, the Mexican-American fans. What kind of challenge was it for you mentally to move past that night and sort of accept the way things transpired?
It's a thing of, you know, you can't really dwell on the past. You got to just learn from it and then kind of move forward. Take that into your training, take it into your next fights. Just kind of just learn from it, you know, from whatever you can, and just try to get better as a person and as a fighter.
Now, I mentioned to Roy Nelson, not just the pressure to win, but the pressure to do so with style points and impressive performance here could certainly get you right back in there against the winner of Junior Dos Santos and Frank Mir. Is there pressure on you to not just win, but to make a statement that you're back and ready to go chase that gold again?
No, you know, never any pressure. Just know what I can do out there. No matter what, I'm gonna throw exciting fights. You know, that's just how I see it. But no pressure to win. You know, just going out there doing my thing. You know, and that's it.
Well, you're certainly not a guy that makes excuses, but you did have a nagging knee injury entering the Junior Dos Santos fight. It occurred when you beat Brock Lesnar back in October of 2010. Here we are, May of 2012. From a physical standpoint, how close are you to 100%?
You know, 100%, you know, with this training camp, rested my body a lot, you know, and to get into it, and then finally when I got into training camp, every week went on, I kind of picked up the pace of the training camp, and you know, with that, really helped me to get better and to kind of, you know, have my body to where it was before.
All right, for the heavyweights, you will see Saturday night, Dave Herman, Antonio Bigfoot Silva, Cain Velasquez, and Big Country Roy Nelson. Thanks for the time, fellas. We'll see you Saturday. So the 8 men we have just seen have a combined MMA record of 156 wins against only 20 losses, and as you might expect, opportunity certainly knocks in the form of the biggest heavyweight showcase in UFC history. But of course, capping off this epic heavyweight main card is the UFC Heavyweight Championship of the world. It pits the undisputed baddest man on the planet against the winningest heavyweight in UFC history. First up, the #1 contender for the UFC heavyweight title. He has taken out a who's who of heavyweights across several different UFC eras, turning back the likes of Tank Abbott, Tim Sylvia, Brock Lesnar, and most recently Minotauro Nogueira. In addition to amassing more wins than any UFC heavyweight, he looks to join Randy Couture and Muhammad Ali as a 3-time heavyweight champion of the world.
Superman, Batman.
From Las Vegas, Nevada, and ready for his 20th UFC appearance, how about a hand for the former 2-time UFC heavyweight champion of the world, Frank Mir. All right, now we bring out the most feared puncher in any combat sport worldwide. He has the best boxing skills in the division, perhaps in any UFC division. He is the owner of 5 UFC knockouts, has the highest output of power punches of anyone on the UFC roster, and is quickly becoming a national icon in his native Brazil. Consensus baddest man on the planet and the most powerful puncher in all of MMA. Please welcome the UFC heavyweight champion of the world, Junior Dos Santos. Well, we begin with the challenger, Frank. I guess first of all, I think we'd all like to wish you a happy 33rd birthday here as you celebrate that. My first question sort of plays into the birthday. Once Tito Ortiz retires right here in Las Vegas at UFC 148, you will be the longest serving veteran in the UFC. You made your debut all the way back on November 2nd, 2001. 19 fights, 2 world titles later. Here you are main eventing and fighting once again for the heavyweight title. How much of a role does all of that experience play into a fight of this magnitude?
Obviously, familiarity increases comfort and it allows you to become more accustomed to something. And so, the fact, the media and the exposure and all the things pretty much outside the octagon, I think having the experience gives me an advantage. But obviously once they shut the cage door, then it's all the same.
All right, well, as soon as Alex Overeem was forced out of this fight, the campaign to get the title shot got underway in earnest for you. Certainly, you were the most deserving. The UFC felt that way, but you were definitely training for a different type of opponent in Cain Velasquez. Why were you so confident to step up, not just with the title on the line, but take on a decidedly different challenge here in Junior Dos Santos on short notice?
Well, I felt that obviously Dos Santos would be having to go through the same changes that I had to as far as a change in opponent. I felt that preparing for Cain Velasquez, I was preparing for a very tough opponent with great cardio, so I was already kind of gearing towards the 5 rounds. Plus, when we started the camp, I told my trainer because we were facing Cain, and also because of the opportunity that someone could get hurt in training, I wanted to be prepared to step up. And so those gave me reason to be confident. As far as the different opponent, obviously Dos Santos is the best boxer in the division. And Velasquez is a very good boxer also, so it wasn't like I was not boxing and not working on that aspect of my game. And also I realized too, the hardest hand thing to switch would be the right to left-handed. My opponent is still right-handed, fights left foot forward, whereas Dos Santos had to make that adjustment where I didn't. Where now he was facing a right-handed kickboxer, now he's facing a left-handed, mixed martial artist.
Well, we set up your credentials, your UFC success certainly well documented. Some would argue that Frank's already had a Hall of Fame worthy career. Others would disagree with that statement. Do you think you get the credit you deserve as one of the best heavyweights of all time?
I think that a lot of the general fans, my statistics stand alone on what I've accomplished inside the octagon, on how I've accomplished time as an MMA fighter in the UFC. I think the problem is that there's always a select few group in everything in life that they speak from emotion. They're not intelligent. They don't look at statistics. They don't look at track records. They don't watch videos and form opinions. They form opinions with their emotions. And the problem is most of us who are intelligent people, who are laid back, we're not very loud when we think something. We don't get screaming, we don't get passionate, we don't get angry. And it seems like it's the few stupid people that are extremely passionate about what they have to talk about. So in all things in life, whether politics or sports, it's always those few guys that are individuals that are just very loud and angry that seem to speak the loudest. But just because you're the loudest doesn't mean you're the majority.
All right, on UFC Primetime, Minotauro Nogueira, the Brazilian legend who you have knocked out and submitted, had this to say, and I quote, "I don't know why everybody worships this guy. His ground game is simple. It's only his attacks that are a little dangerous." Your thoughts?
I'm thinking something got lost in translation. Because it'd be like, I gotta tell you, if I'm rolling on the ground with somebody and they break my arm, they submit me. If you interview me about him, I'm gonna say, man, that guy's really good. He was awesome. And it's not a humility thing so much as it's just like, so wait a minute, you say the guy sucks and he's simple, but he broke your arm. I want the guys that I face to be the best. I don't beat people because they're not very good. I didn't knock out Mirko Topop because he's not good at stand-up. The guy is phenomenal at stand-up. I didn't beat Roy Nelson because he's no good. Roy Nelson's an extraordinarily tough guy. Everybody I face is the best in the world. They're tough. They're hard to beat. I beat them because I was a little bit better. That's the way I look at it. I always laugh when guys sit there and they break people down and go, this guy sucks. I'm like, that's why you're going to win? Because he sucks? Not because you're good? Different mentality.
All right, thank you. We get to Junior Dos Santos. Now, you went into last November's title fight against Cain Velasquez with a torn meniscus in your knee. You refused to withdraw from the fight, and you go on to become the UFC heavyweight champion. Are you still sort of basking in the glow and living out your dream?
Yeah. When I had my injury, my knee injury, that was a problem for me in that fight. But I asked for my physical therapist, hey man, I need to be ready for this fight. Make me ready for this fight, And I brought him with me to the fight, and I was feeling good, and that was perfect for me, a good result. And yeah, that's it.
Is it true that you went to sleep with the belt the night you won the UFC heavyweight title?
Yeah, it's true.
It's just you and the belt in the belt, huh? Just you and the belt in the belt.
Just me and the belt. That was a special moment for me. Because I just won my dream became true that day, so I sleep with my belt.
All right, we like it. All right, well.
How did you get your wife to be okay with that? My wife left. Against her. I walked out, I was excited. I'm like,
yeah, she was not here, so it's okay.
Well, you have said, Junior, you want to be remembered not only as a UFC champion, but as a great UFC champion. I'd imagine title defenses are a big part of that. In your estimation, what constitutes a great UFC champion?
Of course, I want to be, I want to keep this belt for a long time now. That's why I work hard every day, And I think my first title defense now against Frank Mir is going to prove that. I did an excellent camp in Brazil, and I'm very well prepared for this fight. And I want to be different, I want to be part of the history of the heavyweight division.
You haven't shown us a lot of weaknesses to this point. Some people say perhaps you rely a little too much on your boxing, but I guess if you win the world title in 64 seconds with plan A, do you really need to have a backup plan?
Yeah, actually I have plan B, plan C, you know, but my plan A is working, so I will keep doing that.
But you're confident, I assume, that you can mount an offense in other disciplines of mixed martial arts if you need to at any given time in the fight?
Yeah, for sure. You know, I'm a MMA fighter, and I'm really confident in all areas. You know, if the fight goes to the ground, I will be fighting on the ground. I'm not afraid of any situation to fight. You know, and I just keep the fight standing because I'm very confident in that area, you know.
During the first episode of UFC Primetime, you said that Mir is, quote, not a man, he gives up. Now, you're always an honest guy, we appreciate the candor. Why did you choose to go public with that opinion?
Yeah, I choose what I said was, you know, when I say he's not a man, I confirm that. I said that because when he's leaving a bad situation in the fight, he can't recover from that situations. In Brazil, when you doesn't have like a heart to recover from that situation, we say that, you know, he's not a man, he's not a man. But I have nothing personally against him. I even know him personally, you know, don't know him personally. So that was more about the fight.
Frank Jr. has acknowledged that you are a great UFC fighter when things are going well, but he said maybe you will when the going gets tough. He's sitting in front of you here about 48 hours out from the fight. Any response to Jr. and that line of thinking?
I think first of all, you know, Junior's a great fighter inside the octagon, and I think what he was trying to do is increase his abilities to be known outside. I mean, let's face it, people like Brock Lesnar and stuff, they're kind of known for what they say outside the octagon sells more tickets sometimes. And so I think that he's, you know, his camp and people around him are trying to get him to sell the fight. Let's face it, there's not a lot more he can do to improve inside the octagon. But as far as marketability outside the octagon, our media is notorious for reporting things that are hot topics. You know, if he says something a little spicy, I guess, that it gets more attention. I mean, think about it, all the things that he said. That's probably been asked of you how many times now? I mean, multiple times have been brought up. So it increases media. I didn't take it too personally because I know those uncles. I know what kind of person he is. I can see him. I mean, you don't train to fight somebody and not know them as well as we know each other. And I have too much footage to be proving the otherwise. You know, in the Nogueira fight, I start off too hot, guys. Yeah, I don't know if you failed to notice, but I wasn't faking that one. He caught me and I came out and was able to be victorious. In the first Brock fight, I don't think I was winning on the scorecards up to the point I submitted him, guys. I gotta be honest with you. I think that his hands were getting sore on my face, but I don't know if I was gonna win that transition, you know? I was working on it. But I still pulled it off. And even in the second fight with Brock, you see that that first round, I was pretty ugly when I got up. It was hurting me, and I woke up and I got up smiling, and was grinning actually, and then I ran at him trying to knock him out. I even jumped in the air trying to get a knockout, and you know, superior size and strength and wrestling ability proved to be against me, not lack of fighting ability. But we do a pre-fight medical backstage before, you know, so I'm thinking me and Junior will do it together. So when we're doing the hernia thing, we'll prove that I'm a man. Just glance over it.
Junior, Frank has said that while retaining your belt is your main motivation, you are also seeking revenge because of what he did to Big Nog. How satisfying would it be for you to not only beat Mir, but to do so for Big Nog and everybody back in Brazil?
Yeah, well, it's for sure it's not a revenge for me, you know. My satisfaction comes from to defend my belt, you know, and to keep living the good things that I'm living now, you know, and keep giving a better life for my family and keep getting those opportunities in my life, you know. It's not a revenge for sure, it's an amazing sport, you know, and that happened. We never know it's gonna happen in the fight, you know. And that time, Nogueira did a mistake and he was able to capitalize that moment, you know. And my objective in this fight is to put him in the bad moments and don't let him recover from that moment.
All right, final question before we get to the media, and we do appreciate your patience. On UFC Primetime, the second episode, we were introduced to a 9-year-old boy in Brazil, and all he wanted was to be here to see your first title defense against Frank Mir, and lo and behold, sitting here in the first row, you made it happen.
Oh yeah, Brandon is right there. Yeah, he's a very funny kid, and he would love to be here watching one of my fights, you know, and then we made that happen. Yeah, he's funny. So I'm really happy to get him here, you know, to see, look, this kid, you know, very happy, and his family too. So it's part of my strength for sure, you know. He's part of our team there in Brazil. Every day he's in the gym training with us. So it's good to get him here.
And an aspiring mixed martial artist, very good to have all of you here today and for the fight festivities this weekend. All right, now we welcome questions from the media on the floor. Please raise your hand. We will bring you a microphone. Also, if you'd be so kind as to please stand up when promoting the fighters.
Frank, you talked yesterday and again today about already being in good conditioning. You talked about training to fight Cain Velasquez. You felt that would kind of be like the equivalent of a 5-round fight given his cardio. Now that you're in an actual 5-round fight, you may be physically prepared for that, but if you look at the statistics between you and Junior, a lot of your mutual success comes early. Submission attempts, knockouts. So is there also a component of your mindset and your camp that has you thinking you also need to be training for a 1-round fight?
No, absolutely. I mean, I think the difference is that, you know, like when I fight Nogueira, you can't sit there and go, okay, there's 3 rounds and then cruise the first round and warm up like boxing. You know, these championship boxing matches, guys have 12 rounds and you take the first round. Bill Santos, all his knockouts are in the first round. I don't think you knocked him after the first round.
I don't think so.
Yeah, so I think all my submissions come in the first round too. So I realize that both of us are most dangerous in the first round, but I think because Junior's boxing, his power is not so much from his size. I mean, he's not a small individual by any means, but it's his speed, how fast he can throw his hands. And like all people, as the fight wears on, it's impossible to be just as fast as you were in that first 2 minutes. Speed slows down. That's why he knocks people out in the first round. He has incredible speed. It's overwhelming. I don't think people have time to adjust for it. So I know that the first round is actually more important than any other round in this fight.
We have a lot of Brazilians here, so I will do a Portuguese question for Cigano. Just a little one. Cigano, quando você entrou aqui, você foi com certeza o lutador que mais foi aplaudido, que mais o público reagiu melhor. Como é para você vir até os Estados Unidos, estar em Las Vegas e ainda assim ter essa receptividade dos seus de MMA e muitos americanos?
I have to answer in English or Portuguese? Portuguese. Então, para mim é muito gratificante, né, entendeu? Poder chegar aqui num outro país, numa outra cidade, todo mundo e as pessoas gostarem de mim, do meu estilo e de verem as minhas lutas. Isso é parte, com certeza, da minha força, entendeu? Eu gosto de receber as energias positivas que as pessoas que torcem por mim me dão e mandam para mim. E com certeza isso me deixa muito feliz, poder chegar num lugar desse e ser aplaudido e a galera gostar de me ver aqui. Então, para mim, é muito gratificante.
Can you give that to us in English, please, as well? Thank you.
Wow.
Heavy lifting.
He said, he asked because the crowd translate the question, please.
He was asked how it feels to receive so much support from his fans and to be so loved by fans both in Brazil and here. And he said it's very gratifying to do what I do and to get to do what I love and to have the reaction from everybody supporting me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. That was good. Again, we're up here. All right, next up.
This is Rafael Gandapito from Univision Deportes. Frank, in the intro by John, he mentioned about a victory for you would mean equaling Randy Couture and Muhammad Ali as the only 3-time heavyweight champions. And also, you and I have talked about how you need that third belt for your third kid because you don't want any conflicts at home. how much of that goes into affecting your preparation or your thinking, visualizing the fight about what you could accomplish besides winning the title?
No, honestly, I guess it would sound better if I said I was really focused on those things, but not. Those have to be the results of proper preparation. Really honestly, I'm focused at the task at hand. The opening bell, the first exchange, and then once that's over with, it's the next exchange, the next movement, and fight after fight. At the end of the fight, when the bell's rung, that's when I get maybe time to think of some things about moving up. But as far as, do I sit at night and go, okay, this fight means this? No, I think that's, as a fighter, we'd be lying if we're not already saying we're nervous. A little scared, go out there. Who's not? I'm walking in front of a cage with 20,000 people against one of the best fighters in the world. I have never walked into a fight and not been nervous or full of anxiety. So to think of those things would probably only add to it. And then it would be a good thing.
Kind of cool though to be next to Muhammad Ali and Randy Couture though, right?
Yeah, Muhammad Ali is somebody I've admired my whole life. I think he's somebody who's that a lot of people can take a lot from and enrich their life by learning lessons that he's done.
Junior, una pregunta en portuñol, ya que hablaste en portugués. En el programa de Prime Time hemos visto cómo te has estado divirtiendo por todas las calles de Salvador, visitaste un carnaval. Se nota que estás disfrutando bastante el reinado de campeón del UFC. ¿Estás disfrutando eso así de verdad como se ve y si te ha quitado concentración en tu preparación, el hecho de que tienes que darle más atención a la gente y a la prensa?
Sí, yo estoy muy concentrado en mi preparación. Yo pienso que estoy viviendo un muy buen momento en mi vida. Estoy sí aprovechando mucho las oportunidades que estoy teniendo, pero mas estoy muy concentrado para la lucha.
The question was, in the second episode of Primetime Junior, we see the streets of Salvador, many scenes that resemble, the music and the life of the city. You were received there with a celebration that looked like something out of Carnival. And I'd like to know, is it really something that you're enjoying just as you see those images? You're enjoying your reign as the champion and being able to enjoy all of those moments? Answer. Yes, it's pretty much what you saw in those images. I'm living a very good moment, and it's wonderful to have all of those celebrations and people around me celebrating my victory with me and celebrating my reign as the champion.
Thank you. This is Marcus Corvus to MMA and MMA Mint. And first question for Junior Dos Santos. For your last fight, you had some problems with your knee. Is the knee completely healed up? Did you have surgery on it at all?
Yeah, I forgot about the knee, so it's 100%.
And to both of you, some people feel that 10 out of 10 fights standing up, Junior Dos Santos will win. 10 out of 10 fights, Frank Mir will win on the ground. To both of you, what do you think of that?
No absolutes in life. No, I think saying that, again, that's an intelligent observation if you say that off of track record, he has more knockouts than I do. I only have one, and then to say that I have more submissions, Junior doesn't have any submissions yet. Obviously, I'm better in that area than he is. So, I mean, it's one of those things, it's kind of, I guess, no shit.
Essa pergunta é tanto para o Frank quanto para o Júnior. 10 em cada... as pessoas dizem que 10 em cada 10 lutas em pé, o Júnior venceria. 10 em cada 10 lutas no chão, o Frank venceria. Eu gostaria de saber o que vocês têm a dizer a respeito disso.
Yeah, what I have to say. I think, Frank Mir is a submission artist, I have to respect that for sure, and I will, but I'm very confident with my hands, and I really believe I can knock him out. I have to keep it's very important for me to be confident with myself, when I believe in something, I can make that happen. So I really believe I can knock him out. So I will try to do that, and I don't care, if I'm, if he's better on the ground and I'm better in standing, it's MMA, you never know, you never know what's gonna happen. But my objective is to win this fight by knockout.
I think that's Portuguese for no shit too.
Gary Alexander with Fighters Only magazine. I have a question for Junior as well as Frank. how difficult is it for each of you to actually find opponents or sparring partners that mimic your opponents?
Well, in Brazil we have a lot of good jiu-jitsu guys, so that was not too hard for me to find some guys like him, you know. And I used to train with good southpaw guys too, you know. So I did a really good camp in Brazil, and I think it's the best camp I ever did, and I'm feeling very well prepared.
I think it's kind of funny because you guys are preparing for a jiu-jitsu guy who's training in Brazil. I don't think it was that hard to find jiu-jitsu guys. And you know what, I don't know if this is common knowledge, but in America, we're pretty good at boxing. There's a lot of good boxers around, and believe it or not. I mean, I think we have more world champions in boxing than Brazil does. Yeah, we do. Amazing.
Hi, Ron Perdue, Energy Sport Israel. Question to both of you. We usually see a lot of physical preparation and countdowns and prime-time shows. If you can talk a little bit about the mental preparation, is there a special technique that you guys use? You meditate, visualizing stuff, guided visualization. Is there anything that you do? I'm sure you do it. I was wondering what.
Well, my mental preparation is like I said, I try to be confident with myself, you know, to be very positive with how's gonna be the fight for me, you know. I wanna bring him to my strategy, you know, and try to capitalize good moments in the fight, you know. So and I have my coach Doria. He's my coach, but when he starts to talk with me and to say how's gonna be the fight for me, well, I feel very good, you know. I feel, wow, I'm gonna destroy this guy. So it's good to get him on my side.
I have 3 kids and a stepchild. I have a very strong-willed, to put it politely, wife. So I'm kind of always mentally prepared. I'm always knowing how to deal with chaos and relax. And I go to the little cave with the penguin and chill out all the time.
Heidi Fang with MMA Fight Corner. The first question is for Frank. Do you feel at all that your striking is being underestimated going into this fight?
A little bit, but I mean, that's from media, and I realize too that everybody just looks at your last performance. Nogueira caught me with a really good right hand. I got hurt and, you know, I was able to come off that, but now it's like all of a sudden, like, the fact that I knocked Chicago down, that I beat Anthony Hardman, who's a K1 fighter, the fact that I went almost a full 3 rounds of Maple Pro Cop and went to the ground 0 times and was winning all the scorecards before I knocked him out. All that seemed to went out the window again. Everybody just, again, people speak from emotion. They just think, oh, they have an image and they make an opinion out of it. No, I mean, obviously, compared to the credentials of what Junior's done, you know, is he the better boxer? How can I argue otherwise? You know, I have I think 1 knockout and then TKOs on the ground. Well, I guess I don't know if Nogueira was considered a knockout or TKO, so 2 knockouts. He has, I think, 5. So how could you say that he obviously is more proficient than him? Just like when his jiu-jitsu coach said that he was better at jiu-jitsu, it's like, well, he may very well be. But to make that claim is very hard because I have 8 submissions down the UFC to Dos Santos has none. And so when people make things up, I just always just look at stats. I read things. I mean, when I prepare for a fight, I have to prepare logically. How many times did he throw a jab in the first minute? How many times did he do this? What did he do here? And so because I have to look at it because my face is on the line, I have to approach it from a very scientific point of view. I guess when people make outlandish statements, or, oh, this sucks, I'm like, really? I'm the 3rd highest, you know, percentage of striking of any of the heavyweights that have ever fought in the UFC. It's me. That means that there's a lot of guys that suck real bad if they're all behind me.
Well, one final question from the media, please.
Frank, I wanted to ask you, you have been considered as the best jiu-jitsu fighter on the heavyweight division. You are being not a Brazilian. Who has got more influence on your jiu-jitsu so you have come to this level?
You know, honestly, I mean, as far as influencing, obviously I've had great coaches. You know, Ricardo Perez and Sergio Pena, who I think is very famous in Brazil. Those who gave me my black belt. You know, I trained now with Robert Drysdale, who's a Mundial and Abu Dhabi champion. Ricky Landell is also somebody traveled with grappling. As far as inspirational figures that I look at and I watch, Nogueira is actually somebody that I studied. When I watched him fight Heath Herring in 2001 when they fought for the first fight belt, I wanted to be like Nogueira. I'm like, look, here's a heavyweight that can fight off his back and do submissions and movements. Somebody I watch now still to this day is Fabricio Verdun. Very long, tall heavyweight that is able to do stuff off his back. Who I think is funny when people ask me if I'm the best jiu-jitsu guy in MMA. I don't agree with them. I think what we're doing is much better than I am in jiu-jitsu. If we were to have a match together, I'd hope to make it kickboxing.
All right, thank you very much. We're going to get to your questions on Twitter now due to time constraints. We will only get to 2 of them. The hashtag is UFC Presser. First for Frank Mir from ESPN UK's Ben Blackmore. Frank, should the Brits be in your corner due to your close association with Dan Hart?
I don't know. I assume so. I mean, Dan Hardy's a great guy. I think he's somebody that's really helped push me in this training camp a lot. I think I made no bones about the fact that I hate to run. I used to tell people I'd rather get beaten down by dudes with baseball bats than hit the rail up the road. And in this fight, I've ran a lot. And due to the fact that Dan comes from a group of guys that train very hard over there, and he brings that work ethic here. He's very disciplined. There was never one time that I drove out to go run that he wasn't already there waiting for me. Regardless of the fact I wish he wasn't sometimes.
All right, and this one for JDS from Scott Salix from Fox. He wants to know if you thought about boxing for Brazil in the 2016 Olympic Games in Rio.
No. I'm very happy now, I think MMA is the most effective sport in the world. And we have to be 100% focused on this sport, Of course, I love boxing. I love to watch boxing. One day, I wanna do a boxing fight, but no, I'm not thinking about that.
Yeah, right now the UFC is keeping you pretty busy. All right, that is going to do it from here. In 2 days' time, 10 of the best heavyweights in the world will collide in the octagon. It all leads up to the UFC Heavyweight Championship of the world between Frank Mir and Junior Dos Santos. A reminder, the biggest pay-per-view of the year begins this Saturday, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. We appreciate you all being here, and those of you tuning in. The fighters will now come back up here, all 10 heavyweights, and square off for some photo opportunities. Thank you all very much.
No, I know you brought him on, but I know he's
do this mic first?
since this event.
Okay, podium's good.
This is a post, right?
Off to one side. Go to the side.
Bravo!
Photo first. Photo. Thank you. Rest of the fighters up. Fighters up. Fighters up. Tighten up, nice, tighten up. Hands up. Hands up.
Yeah, Rosario!
Good!
I got one.
Chicago! Junior, right here. Everybody off the center, Frank. Good! Back to your respective sides. Back to your respective sides. They go last. Slow and safe. Good stuff. Good!
Pezão ganhando psicológico na abertura.
Vai se vestir aí parada.
Você é mais smart.
Engana, cara de pitbull,